Hey there, Wanderers. Now, we took an unexpected hiatus back in the spring when things got really busy with conventions. But even though things are still a little busy, we're back and ready to bring y'all plenty of more crafting and DIY how-tos. This week, we're going to be looking a little bit at some gardening, as I've already got phase 1 down, but I'm trying to convert some area into some bigger and better garden for this year. So I'm going to start phase 2, and I'll take y'all along on that adventure. And for our crafting, we're going to look at building a leather belt, because I've got a few Renaissance fairs that I've wanted to go to here before the spring is over. And I need a new belt for my pirate outfit. It's going to be a multi-week build, and this first week is going to be a little rough on the belt because I didn't have all the tools I needed on hand when I started. But we'll look at that, see the shape it gets to this week, and over the next few weeks, really flesh it out and make a really interesting piece. So, I'm going to start cleaning up this area of the garden, and I'm going to show you a few of the things that I've changed this year in my garden, and then we'll get to crafting. Now, there are a lot of changes that I wanted to make in my garden this year. Not really in what I grew, but where I grew it and how so. So I used to have some big fig trees right here. They were really more like fig bushes, but I wanted them to grow into trees. So this year I cut away a bunch of access and just leaving a few of the strong central stems from each of the trees, and we're going to work on growing those out into big, more mature trees rather than like fig bushes with a lot of limbs that we trim back every year. So I've got a few of those staked up to help them grow straight. And then right beside that, I'm expanding my tomatoes. And so last year I had a garden box right here where I'm standing, a few tomatoes back there, and I grew some peppers and stuff along the wall back there. Well, as you can see, I've already removed one of my garden boxes and the box that was right here. And I've still got a few pepper plants back there that I'll show you about planting them just in a second. But those are going to be my only garden boxes this year. I finally moved to where everything else is in ground. And I'm expanding out to about 16 tomato plants this year. I've already got 4 planted. I'm about to plant some more as I clear the area. I'm just trying to stagger everything that I plant this year, not plant everything on the same day, because then you end up getting a lot of stuff growing all at once. And then when it stops, it just all runs out. So I'm doing a little more staggering. Like I said, I've already got stage 1 planted, 4 tomato plants, some cucumbers, squash, and okra over there on the other side that I'll show you in a minute. But I'm trying to get ready for phase 2. We're going to plant a few more, probably some zucchini and some more cucumber and a lot more tomato. So the biggest thing that I got to do this week is get this area of the yard cleaned up. Grass and weeds have grown over. Like I said, the fig trees were here. There used to be a garden box in the middle of this area. So I'm going to start off just by weed eating everything down to the ground, bringing out the tiller, mixing up all the dirt, getting stuff level, and then we can get our other tomatoes in the ground and ready to be growing this year.
Now the one thing I'll say about raised beds is I usually only put between 4 and 6 inches of dirt in mine. My plants seem to do fine. Some people like to fill them up completely, but I say save a little money on dirt and get a few more plants. Now, it's real simple. I've got the dirt from last year. I just pulled all the weeds out. I dug a hole for each plant, and I put fresh potting soil in. Obviously, got some just stuff for raised beds, vegetables. And so I filled up the new hole with that. And, real simple. Just spread it out. Take your plant. Put it in the new hole. Fill the dirt up. You want it to be about even with it. Smooth some things out and mix the dirt around, make it a level beside the plant. If anything, you might want to mound up dirt right at the base of the plant so that water sort of runs down. You don't want it to be in a low spot, so that's one thing. You got to make sure that you plant it high enough up and give it a bit of a mound so that, like I said, water doesn't collect and the plant drowns. So let's get these in the ground and then we'll go over and finish working on the walkway. I've been wanting to put a walkway in from my shop to the goat pen for a little bit, because sometimes when it rains in this area a lot, it'll flood, and it's not really nice walking through that water just to, you know, give the goats some food after a wet rain. So I had some extra stuff, got some scraps from when I cut up the garden boxes that we removed out of the middle of the tomato patch, and some extra decking boards that I had left over from when my parents did their deck. Haven't really known what to do with them, but finally got the idea. Now that I've got some extra wood that is treated and can be on the ground and lay down on the ground, I can put these really nice weatherproof deck boards over them and make a little elevated walkway. So I had two different size boards that I had been using for the garden boxes that I picked up. I just took all the old boards, cut them into 11-inch strips, because that's the size of two of these boards right beside each other. And basically I'm just going to put these down on the ground and screw these decking boards right into them. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And once we get everything assembled, it'll probably be a little lower on this end. I can take some extra dirt and clay that I've been digging up from planting stuff in the garden and put some under this side and level it up so that everything's all good. But first, just gotta get everything assembled. Now, as much as possible, I'm going to try to alternate between the two sizes. It doesn't really matter. And just since I've got a good almost 250 inches, you know, a little over, closest to 20 feet, I'm going to alternate with probably about an 1.5 inch gap in between the boards. That's going to be enough that it's going to allow me to stretch out the material underneath holding the deck boards up, but it's not going to be enough to give a bow where the gaps are. So, like I said, real simple. Just going to put those down and line this up on the edge over here. And take some screws and put it together. Like I said, I'll go back on, obviously, on the other side, putting in this board. But that'll be after I get all of these installed, so that I'm not trying to lift up two long heavy boards to slide wood underneath. So yeah, that's the process. It's going to be pretty easy, and we'll check back in when it's done. Now, as you can see, we've got our walkway in. It makes a nice little division between the garden and this area that I've mulched. I'm gonna add an awning back there, but that'll be at a later project. And next week, we're gonna go inside the goat pen, and I'm gonna do some renovations to their rooftop because they've torn it up over the past year. Until next time, keep wandering. Well, we're definitely gonna end each episode with like 15 seconds of goats.
Yeah, that's